Hey guys, it's Merce. Welcome back to Harpies in the Trees. This weekend, I posted a question on my Instagram account to see if anyone had any fun ideas about a video to do because I don't have anything to review at the moment. I'm almost done with The Good House by Tanera Abdu. I'm only 200 pages from the end and I just cannot wait to get there. I'm binging on this book so hard. It's really got me. And also this weekend, I wanted to go to a cemetery and just spend the day, do some filming, do some reading, but the weather was just so bad. It was raining and it was windy. It was too miserable to do anything. So a few of my friends suggested doing book tags or talking about an art project or talking about movies and TV shows. And I thought maybe I can find a tag that kind of incorporates all of them or some of them. And I did. I found the horror movie book tag, which was created by Royal Reader in 2017. And the only thing that I've changed about this tag is that in these prompts, they're horror tropes that sort of set up the prompt for what kind of book would accompany that. But I'm also going to add a movie or TV show as well. If you want to do this tag too, you are officially tagged. The questions are in the description box. And please let me know if you do it. You can message me on Instagram or comment below. Number one. Okay, number one. The Zombie Apocalypse. A book you would save when civilization ends. This is hard because I feel like I would save a book that tells you how to build a home or grow food or heal an injury, like information that I don't hold within my noggin like at all. You know, like if I grow some tomatoes or something, it's really the plant doing all the work. I don't really know how to nurture it and keep it going, you know? But maybe a book on, I don't know, high magic, so that I can finally become the bog witch that I know that I am. As for a movie that I would bring with me to the end of civilization, I don't know, I think it would be I Love Lucy, because it's funny and it's cheerful, and I think it would be the right amount of fantasy for me to escape, you know, the kind of destruction of civilization around me. So yeah, I think I Love Lucy, because it's funny too, you know, and I think that's important when times are dark. The Vampire. A book you would stake through the heart. I don't have a lot of books that I hate actually, and I think it's because I really do take a lot of time researching books that I'll read, just, you know, seeing what everyone else thinks and what their experiences have been. And I'd say most of the time, you know, it's never something that I'm like, ugh, this was so far off the mark. But I did have a book, and it was called House of Ghosts. I think it was by W.C. Ryan. And I used the pages of that book for a craft project, and I felt pretty good about it too. So I did not like that book. It was a story about two undercover agents going to a location and trying to find who had been divulging some war secrets, and wrapped around it was sort of like a cloak and dagger of like some supernatural stuff. And I found it to be pretty contrived and kind of boring and stereotypes and stuff like that, so I did not like it at all. But it didn't go to waste. I did use it for a craft project, so I recycled it. As for a movie I would stake to the heart, that would be Winchester, starring Helen Mirren. I really wanted to like that movie for a lot of different reasons. I love Helen Mirren. She's a great actress. She's captivating. I was really excited. And also the story of the Winchester Mystery Mansion is very cool. I've been there before when I was a child. It's in California. It's a very interesting place and has a lot of just really crazy and spooky rumors around it. And I thought this was going to be really awesome, and it turned out to be just worse than I could have ever expected. And I was really angry about it. Because I was just like, how dare they? Next question. The Haunted House, a book that still haunts you. This is Devil All the Time. I've talked about this book before because it is very disturbing, unsettling, and creepy. And also I listened to the audiobook version, who had a very talented voice narrator, whose name I can't remember at the moment. I will put it somewhere around here. But who was extremely talented, and just like these characters just really came alive with his acting talent, and it just stuck with me. It's always stuck with me. I still think of those characters like all the time. Movie-wise, The Changeling, another movie I've also talked about. It's a movie I saw when I was very, very little, and it just really stuck to my little kid brain. It just bonded there, and it just never left. So it's definitely haunting me all the time. If you haven't seen it, it was made in 1979 or 1980. It has George C. Scott in it. Wonderful performance. And it's just a creepy Victorian Gothic ghost story. But I felt that it was really good. And one thing that was very interesting about that movie was I looked up who wrote the script and whose concept it was, because I was curious to see where that idea came from. And supposedly the guy who wrote it wrote this script based on an actual experience that he had, ghostly paranormal experience in a house that he was living in. And so he wrote the script about it, and he never wrote anything after that. So it was very strange, very interesting. I wish I could know more about that. Okay, 4th question. The psychological thriller, a book with a twist you did not see coming. I don't know, maybe The Corset by Laura Purcell. I thought something else was gonna happen at the end, but it didn't, and I'm really glad that it wasn't what I thought. So that was cool. Movie-wise, Hereditary. I didn't expect the ending at all. I wasn't even thinking in that headspace. So, if you haven't seen it, I thought it was pretty good. I think everyone really loved it in the beginning, and then, of course, as time goes by, people are critiquing it a little bit more now. But I felt like just as a movie, it had the perfect feeling of tension, creepiness, and mystery. Like you don't really know what the fuck is going on, but neither do any of the people involved, It's very unsettling. I have not seen Midsommar. I cannot wait until I do. Question 5. The Monster. A book you could barely tackle, defeat. It hurts to admit this so much, because I wanted to devour this book, but The Devil in the White City. I like most of us who are into horror and true crime and serial killers and all that good stuff, H.H. Holmes is a fascinating character, and I definitely wanted to read more about him. And The Devil in the White City is an amazing book in the quality of its historical information, and it's almost, it's more academic, I'd say, than a novel, perhaps. The fat of the book is about Chicago during the 1890s and the Chicago city preparing for the World's Fair. And the way they are preparing for the World's Fair is they are building a huge amount of buildings and gardens and stuff like that. Have people who are importing and exporting all types of resources. You have people on boards and committees, not only in Chicago, but also in New York City and all over the United States, who are, part of getting the World's Fair together in some aspects. There's arguing and bickering among the architects and other people who are involved. And then, of course, there's this smaller detail of this H.H. Holmes character who is building his death house, his murder house, amongst all of this. So I got through, 275 pages or something, but it was a bit dense for me, even though I really, really appreciated all of the historical content that was there. I just shamefully wanted to read something about H.H. Holmes. So, unfortunately, yes, that book defeated me. And probably wasn't even that much of an effort to do so. I guess people are always astounded to know this. I have only seen the first season of Game of Thrones, and I haven't watched anything else of it. It just didn't particularly grab me the first season, but I am now looking forward to just, when the time is right, binging on like, I don't know, what is it, 8 seasons of Game of Thrones. So I'm actually looking forward to that. The comedy horror, a book with mixed genres that worked or didn't. The Canterville Ghost is a pretty good blend of horror and comedy, I think. It's pretty funny, and this definitely has some satire in there. I think it's really, really funny that there is this ancient ghost who now has these new roommates from America who just can't seem to be rattled by anything that he does, and it makes him very depressed. I think it's very funny. As for a movie, I thought that Little Evil was pretty funny. Horror and comedy can be a tricky mix, but I thought this was funny because they were really heavy-handed on like all of the horror tropes, which was pretty funny. I don't know if you noticed, but behind me is the components of a second set for Lilith, who is my stop motion puppet that I use for a lot of my book reviews. She makes a little brief appearance when I do my ratings, usually in introduction of the book. But this is a second set. I'm going to be filming something longer and hopefully more interesting, so we'll see. But yeah. The Creepy Doll, a book that seems innocent but isn't. Well, I'd have to say Devil All the Time again. I mean, if you look at the cover, it's just like, it just looks like some abstract, mild collage work, but there's nothing there to let on that it's as horrifying as it actually is. Like and I think the film The Ritual was the same way for me. I can't remember like what the artwork was on Netflix when I watched it, but it had just come out, and the artwork was sort of vague. It didn't really tell you a lot on purpose, obviously. So when I started watching it, I thought this was going to be a story of some guys who go out on this trip together, and like, something horrible happens that's probably not going to be paranormal. It's probably just going to be like, could feel like it's paranormal, but it's just dangerous because they're out in the wild. But I was completely charmed by what was waiting for them in the woods, especially the design of the thing. I don't want to tell you too much, even though I feel like everyone's already watched it, but 3 more. The Cliched Teen Horror, a book you found super cliched, stereotypical. This is a book that I traded in one of the Bucha boxes here in Berlin. It's a street library. You can take one and leave one type situation. It's not stereotypical and cliche in the sense that it's bad, because it's just kind of a recounting of old ghost stories that have sort of been passed down through generations, but it's like kind of predictable because you already know these tropes and you kind of know where they're going. The Nun was really bad, and I was waiting to see that movie for a while. I really love the makeup and the design of the character of the nun. She's very compelling. The actress who plays it is very compelling, and I just love it. Especially since when I was a little kid, I used to have this like a nightmare about nuns for some reason. Even I'm not Catholic, my family's not Catholic. I had never seen a nun in my life, so I don't really know why I was haunted by nuns. But so of course this has a very soft place in my heart. But yeah, that movie, it sucked. I was really hoping for something much, much better. Demonic Possession, a book so gripping you needed an exorcist to escape it. Flowers in the Attic. I say that because I read that when I was so young that it has just been a part of me for so long. And it had such an impact on me, like it does on most people who read it. It has stuck to me all my life. It probably always will. It will be one of those seminal books for me. Like, even though I don't think it's like the best book I've ever read, and I don't think it's like some kind of great philosophical art or anything like that, it still has a special quality. And so that would have to be exercised for me, for me to forget it. The Taking of Deborah Logan, to me, is my favorite possession film. It is, the woman who plays Deborah Logan is like, she just went into that role like 1,000%, and I love her for it. The science fiction. A precious book you would permanently sacrifice to aliens for the good of mankind. Precious book. I don't know, my high school diary, because nobody needs to read that. They should never read that. And if they do actually get their hands on it, they should just burn it ASAP. But I guess that's not really a sacrifice. That's more like a lot of people didn't like Affliction, but I really liked it. Presentations of new life forms was really, really interesting. I thought the whole concept was really interesting. I thought it was definitely kind of new and different, at least for me. I just hadn't seen anything like that, so I thought that it was really interesting. So that was our horror movie book tag, using movies and books for our answers. So just a little bit of an edit there. I had stopped reading for a very, very, very long time and just started intentionally reading, coming back to reading in January. So I was going from maybe listening to like a couple audiobooks a year to, you know, trying to read two books a month. I mean, I think that's kind of been my average a little bit. I've tried to go further, it's just not happening. So, you know, when I do these book tags, I am reminded how small my library is, but also how far I've come and just all of the different books I've read. And I found myself back on my path to horror, which has always been my favorite path. And I don't even know why I thought twice about it, but I did. And so I found my way back here. So now I'm just reading all of these new authors and these new books, and that's extremely exciting. It's just nice to kind of do these tags just to, you know, remember all the books you've been reading and everything that you enjoyed about them. So anyway, thanks so much for hanging out with me and listening to me. If you have any recommendations or anything you'd like to share with me, put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. Otherwise, I hope you have a really great week, and I'll talk to you next time.